The America's Cup, the oldest trophy in international sport. The past 167 years has seen determined sailors try everything within their power to lay hands on this elusive trophy. Because it's not only the oldest, it's also the hardest to win. We're in the year 1851, and a lone yacht called America sails across the Atlantic towards the south coast of England to compete in the 100 Guinea Cup. In a race around the Isle of Wight, the visiting yacht competes against an armada from Great Britain. America wins going away because of her revolutionary design, and the battle for the America's Cup has begun. The America's Cup is mostly won before the first race begins, and for well over a century, American technology proved superior. For 132 years, the New York Yacht Club ruled the waves. To steal the cup away from the US would take something different in design, something never seen before. And in 1983, the breakthrough came in the form of a wing keel, an underwater weapon that enabled Australia to out-innovate the New York Yacht Club and take the cup away from America. Over the years, the speed of the yachts has accelerated in leaps and bounds. The majestic J-class, the agile 12 meters, the powerful IACC class, and elusive edge and boat speed remains the key ingredient to America's Cup success. And in 2013, the Cup took a massive step forward in speed and technology. The trophy was contested for the first time in large ultra-lightweight multi-hulls, which literally flew out of the water at warp speeds across San Francisco Bay. The result, a regatta which brought one of the great comeback stories in sports history. For the America's Cup in 2017 in Bermuda, the AC-50 catamarans took speed and power to a new dimension, rocketing at speeds approaching 50 knots. In the end, Emirates Team New Zealand scored a resounding victory and took the cup away from the American defenders. So on to the next chapter. Design has always seen periods of evolution, but also times of revolution with radical changes. With that in mind, would it be possible to combine the tradition of monohulls with the thrilling new technology of hydrofoiling? Well, welcome to the AC-75 class, and we're all about to find out. This new class of yacht has the makings to be the most advanced sailing craft ever developed. The perfect combination of advanced hydrodynamics and aerodynamics all rolled up into one. Critical to the success of the AC-75 are the dual-purpose hydrofoils, rotating up and down on giant hinges. The foils lift the boat clear of the water on one tack, and then on the other tack they counterweight to provide stability and raw boat speed. The electric motor is a key feature of the new yacht. As part of humanity's shared drive towards renewable energy, the E-motor provides the necessary power to raise the foils in and out of the water. The E-motor works in tandem with massive hydraulic rams, effectively trimming the hydrofoils to optimum position based on the crew's needs at any given time. Materials like carbon fiber, epoxy resin, and honeycomb. Techniques like sandwich construction, CNC cut componentry, and 3D mold shaping. The techniques and technology used in the construction of these boats are as advanced as anything you'll find in the aerospace industry. What if it were possible to combine the power of a rigid wing sail with the ease of handling of a conventional sail? The new America's Cup yacht is pioneering the development of soft wing technology, which will help revolutionize high-performance sails and sailing. The design and engineering of the foils is one of the most critical elements for speed around the course. CFD, or Computational Fluid Dynamics, is fully implemented by each team to help make critical design decisions. CFD, VPP, FEA, all are acronyms for Modern Boat Design and Building Software Tools, integral to the success of these new speedsters. Advanced computing power ensures accurate predictions of the AC-75's engineering and performance long before the boat is even built. Straight line speed is not the only factor. These boats have to be designed and engineered to keep the boats flying through maneuvers and aggressive match race tactics. And don't leave out the fact that Mother Nature will throw everything she has at the boats and crews on the unpredictable Hauraki Gulf. The AC-75 is half boat, half aircraft. The design teams will have to find answers to questions never posed before. Without the inherent stability of a wide platform like a catamaran, the foiling monohull poses a very difficult design and engineering conundrum. Never mind all the new boat handling and trimming techniques reshaping how boats are sailed in the future. Who would have dreamed that a 75-foot monohull yacht could fly? Yet that's exactly what this revolutionary concept will do. No one is underestimating the engineering and sailing problems that need to be solved before the America's Cup in 2021. But the sight of these AC-75s flying across the Hauraki Gulf will make all those trials and tribulations worthwhile. Between now and Auckland 2021, sailing fans can look forward to a calendar of stunning regattas in different corners of the world. The America's Cup World Series, the Christmas race, and the Prada Cup will create a competitive environment from which a worthy challenger will emerge to face Emirates Team New Zealand in the America's Cup match. This is a design, technology, and management battle. A battle that will be fought in the sea and in the air. The AC-75 is the weapon of choice, destined to become an icon of 21st century innovation. Today we stand at the start line of what will surely be the fastest, most challenging, and thrilling episodes in the long history of the America's Cup.
Well, welcome along to the 36th America's Cup Overture presented by Prada, which is quite fittingly in Cowes because this is where it all began in 1851. Quite a long time ago. I'm Charlie Webster. I am a broadcaster across television and radio. I was also in Bermuda last year hosting the Red Bull Youth America's Cup. So I didn't actually do the main thing, but it was incredibly exciting. I don't know whether anybody saw it. No? Well, the UK, the Brits, took the win at the very last minute off Team New Zealand. And it was so good to see the next generation of talent. But of course, today we're celebrating the overture of the 36th America's Cup, which has been in play for 167 years. If I take you back, there was 9 cups contested before the modern era of the Olympic Games in Athens in 1896. It's kind of mind-boggling, right? So much history. So that makes it the oldest trophy in sporting history, basically. So today we're going to be celebrating all that, and you're going to be the first to hear everything that we're going to announce today. So nobody has heard anything before. The essence of the America's Cup is simple. There is no second place. Only 4 countries have won and lifted the trophy, had the euphoria of lifting that trophy. America, Australia, New Zealand, and Switzerland. And only 8 cities have hosted the Cup. So are you ready? Smile. It's exciting. So today you're going to meet the 4 teams that are going to contest the 36th America's Cup in the new era and the new concept that you just saw of the AC-75. We're also going to have Emirates Team New Zealand boss Grant Dalton on stage, who's going to announce the course configurations, and the time and date of the first match. And we've got a new logo and a new identity, which has been designed by renowned designer, Australian Mark Newson. He's one of the most influential designers of this generation. So before we reveal all, let's hear from Mark about what he had in mind.
Hello, my name is Mark Newson. I've been asked by Patrizia Bertelli of Prada to design the new America's Cup logo. It was wonderful to hear from him, literally a letter, old school. out of the blue asking me if I would be interested to work with him. Well, what really impresses me about the America's Cup is it's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, sporting event in the world. What's happening in the America's Cup is truly extraordinary. We're seeing hydrodynamics meeting aerodynamics. These vessels, these vehicles, I don't know if you'd call them boats anymore. They're becoming like aircraft. The America's Cup trophy, the old mug, is an incredibly iconic object. It's the one constant throughout the America's Cup. So I took the object itself, the old mug, and sort of tried to look at it in more of a graphic sense. I tried to sort of separate it from its three-dimensionality and look at it on a sort of a flat plane. You know, you end up with this sort of interesting shape. My job is not necessarily to reinvent the wheel, it's to enhance what exists and to take the best out of what historically is in people's minds. But really this is the first time I've had such a sort of profound involvement in a really, really, really big sporting event, which is incredibly exciting, slightly sort of daunting, but more exciting, in fact, than daunting. I'm very much looking forward to this being out there in the world.
Ladies, gentlemen, it's here. The new logo of the 36 America's Cup, designed by Mark Newson. Pretty cool. Wonderful design. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if I can turn your attention to the biggest prize in sailing. We have the old mug, the trophy. Please, let's clap her on stage, I think. As we've heard, the oldest trophy in sporting international history. This is Norman and Simon, they're the two bodyguards bringing it on stage, and you can see it's in this beautiful, exquisite Prada case. This is its debut. It's been handmade by Prada artisans in Tuscany. I'll move out of the way. It took 1 week to make by 4 people. It's been handcrafted. And you can see these nails, they were individually put in, and it took 2,000 nails to make. It's based on Prada's historic travel series. And we do have a very special guest in the room. Oh, don't open it yet. We do have a very special guest in the room, the CEO of Prada Group and the chairman of Luna Rossa. It, of course, is Patrizio Bertelli. So she's going to be traveling in this new Prada case everywhere. And here's the trophy itself. We hear some wows there. It was made in 1848 in London by a silver makers called Robert Garrard and Co. They're the royal jewelers. It stands 1.1 meter high. It's quite heavy. It's around 18 kilograms. I love this beautiful trunk underneath as well. And it was actually a lot smaller. So if I get this right, I think it was around here when it originally was made. But because it's been so long, they had to add this bit in the 50s, around 58, and this bit in the 90s, around 1992, to make sure that they could add all the names for the engravings. It's really exquisite, isn't it? I'll let you take a few photos. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce the teams. The trophy's going to stay on stage and is going to be guarded by Norman, isn't it? Keep a close eye on it. It's my pleasure to introduce the 4 teams that are going to contest the 36 America's Cup. We do have the 3 challengers, but let's start with the defenders. Emirates Team New Zealand traced their lineage back to 1997. Back to 1997. And they've contested 9 different cups, and they've won 3 times. But if you remember, it was in Bermuda last year where they came from underdogs to the top dogs, where they won 7-1 Do you remember that decisive victory against Oracle Team USA?
All that heartache and pain of San Francisco replaced by...
To do what we've done for the last 3 years is absolutely incredible. It is unbelievable that we've got to this point and achieved this today. Just us, who are normally in this room together, I think we should all...
You know, I mean, we're all Kiwi battlers, and you know, we go and get our coffee and we go down the pie shop, and that's a culture that's stooped in who we are as Kiwis. Can do, devil may care, have some fun, work hard, all those things. And I think this team epitomises that. So to be able to do this and it to mean something to other people other than us is, I think, quite special.
Please welcome to stage, give him a big round of applause. It is the winning helmsman of the 35th America's Cup and Olympic gold medalist, Peter Burling. Hey, Peter. Sorry, it's quite a long way to walk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you shake my hand. Peter, just looking back, I know you've been watching the whole show so far. It's been an incredible 24 months for you. Does it still give you goosebumps when you watch that?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's been an incredible 24 months, and you know, I think just knowing, you know, behind the scenes how much hard work's gone into it from so many people involved in our team, and yeah, being able to, you know, watch it now and, you know, see the next generation of you know, the Cup cycle starting to unfold. You know, it's pretty exciting.
And we saw those incredible pictures of when you took it home to New Zealand and the fans like, ah! How much does it mean to New Zealand?
Yeah, no, it was absolutely blew us away. I think when we got home, you know, we were kind of on a pretty small island in the middle of, quite far away from home, you know, in Bermuda when we managed to win it, and we probably didn't quite realise, you know, what it meant to everyone back home. And you know, when we finally took it back home, you know, the amount of people that turned out in the snow and the rain in the middle of winter, you know, to cheer us on was pretty outstanding, and really blew us away. So, you know, I think it just shows, you know, what an incredible venue it's going to be. You know, and the country's really going to get behind, you know, the competitions in a few years' time.
Okay, thanks, Peter. I'm going to let you take a seat because we will chat to you more in depth in just a moment's time next to the trophy. So, moving on to the challenger of record, Luna Rossa Challenge of Italy. It's been a long time, or they've come a long way, I think, since the days of the Silver Bullet when it was contested in 2000. That was the first time they were in the Cup back in Auckland. But now it's all about a new generation for Luna Rossa. Please welcome Team Director and Skipper, Max Selena. Max, how are you doing?
Not too bad.
Good, good. You're back, but you're back with Italy, and Italy's back. How does that feel, not just for the country, but for you personally?
Well, I started many years ago in 1997, and I've been part of the team since day one. And then I had a few stops in between with other teams, but I mean, it's great to be back here. And again, I have one of my last dreams, which is try to win the Cup with Italy and with Luna Rossa, so I will do everything I can for that.
Well, good luck. We saw in the video there that it talked about a new journey and a new generation. And we know kind of some of the talent that's come from Italy, but can you talk us through the selection process?
So you're just saying I'm too old?
Well,
No, no.
basically,
Yeah, fair
it's
enough.
all about the youth.
Yeah. No,
But
obviously.
the wisdom too.
No. We when we decided to come back, obviously, as we said, I'm here from day one, from '97, so I'm quite old, especially for this type of boat. And we start a new project that we call New Generation, and we actually start to receive CV from all around Italy. We received more than 400 CV. And we did a selection, a long selection at the beginning of the year, and at the end, from 400, we came up with 7 new talented guys. One of them is actually, I have a picture of him on top of my hand when he was a kid in '98, and
You keep giving away your age now.
And it's actually good to see. I mean, really young guy. We got the youngest guy, I think, is 21, and the oldest one of this program is 27. And there will be a few other names coming up in the next few weeks. So we are really pleased of the result of this young guy, and we're happy.
Great. Well, I'll let you take a seat, and you're never too old. Thanks, Max. Now, it's been a decade and a half since we've seen the New York Yacht Club, and they are back. They won it back in 1851. And can you believe they managed to retain it for 132 years? Well, now they are back with American Magic. The name is made up of the 2 yachts that first won the America's Cup. The first one back in 1851, which is America, and the second one, which is 1870, which was Magic. So, American Magic. And please give a big round of applause for the Executive Director and Skipper, Terry Hutchinson. Terry.
Hey, how are you?
So much history.
I
I'm
know.
fine. How are you?
Nice to see you.
So much history in America, isn't there? What's it personally feel for you to be back, and also with the New York Yachts Club?
Oh, it's an awesome honor. I mean, you look at the tradition of the club in the event. I can't think of a better opportunity to. There's a clean break of that 15 years that you were just talking about earlier, and it's just, for us, it's a great opportunity to have the club as a partner in this adventure. It's worth its weight in that, it legitimizes the event, it legitimizes our team, and we have great support from New York and from their membership.
And we're excited to see.
Yeah.
Just so Max doesn't feel like I was targeting him, I'm going to ask you a similar...
Easy now, how old are you?
I'm actually older than I look.
I'm not.
Oh, Terry, I don't even want to ask you this now. You have said in the past that you are you're kind of the next successors of the sailors that won back in the day, right? Okay, I'm going somewhere with this.
All right.
So,
Are you sure I said that?
I believe somebody did.
Yeah, okay.
No, it has been said around the New York Yachts Club that the people that are here at the moment are the successors. So who are the next generation, and what are you doing to kind of recruit, a bit like Max was telling us about, to make sure you have that next generation in America?
Well, I mean, it's a great question. First you'd look at the Olympic development program that's been taking place in the U.S. that was spearheaded by U.S. Sailing, and it just paid great dividends with the U.S. Winning the Nations Cup for the first time in the Youth World Sailing Competition, was just awesome to see. So there's a 18-year-old generation there that is quickly coming, and they're obviously very, very good. We've developed a partnership with U.S. Sailing. We've developed a partnership with Oak Cliff, simply because we need to cultivate some of this talent. We need to find out who those sailors are. We can see it right now in the teenagers, but we don't necessarily see it in the 20 to 35-year-olds. And so we have a great relationship with Oak Cliff, and that this fall they're going to be conducting a week of training and sailing and match racing, that they've picked their 10 best, and we're going to go sailing with them and see where we're all at. Hopefully they'll teach us something.
Never know, and you teach them. Thank you, Terry. If you can also take a seat.
All right.
So we've got one seat left. So we heard back in the beginning that it was won in 1851 around the Isle of Wight, and it started with Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, and then the rest was kind of history. The Americans took it. And ever since, the Brits have been trying to win the Cup back. They've had 21 past challenges, and they're going to go for it again. They've got the most successful sailor of Olympic history, Sir Ben Ainslie, with Ineos Team UK. And finally, a big round of applause for the team principal and skipper, Sir Ben Ainslie. How are you doing? You all right? Hey, Ben. Ben, just looking back at that, what do you think is going to be the difference this time?
Well, it's got one hole instead of two, I suppose. It's probably the biggest
That's
difference.
a good difference.
But no, it's an amazing boat. We've been out in the test boat, our 28-foot test boat, I think you saw on the video. And it's a lot of fun. It's a really fast, interactive boat to sail. The maneuvering and so on. So I think scaling that up to a 75-footer is going to be an incredible spectacle, and we're all looking forward to that.
And I just talked about how long it's been for the UK, 21 past challenges.
Yes, thanks for that.
That's all right. I mean, I'm British too, but I'm completely neutral on this stage. How important would it be, do you think, for the UK?
Well, it's a big deal for us, as it is for all of these teams. And British sport is the one thing really that's missing that we've never won. And certainly our maritime history is very proud, being here in Cowes. And we represent the Royal Yacht Squadron, which is the original club. So yeah, we'd love nothing more than to bring this cup home, and that's our goal.
Ben, I'll let you take a seat. So guys, I'm going to ask you a few more questions. I'm going to pick up on what you said in just a moment, Ben. But Peter, what excites you most about the AC 75 that we've seen?
Well, I think you just have to look at it to get excited. It's going to be an incredible boat to sail, and I think it fulfills everything we want it to do. We wanted it to be really challenging to sail, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible, while also having a really good trickle-down effect to the rest of the sport. And it's probably outdoing what we probably thought it would do when we initially designed it. As the boats are starting to get on the water now. Ben's been the first team to lead that, and it's been pretty cool actually seeing it in reality. So we're really looking forward to racing these big boats against each other.
Ben, you mentioned it there, and Peter's just mentioned it. You were the first team to launch that prototype, and we saw it on social media. I know you're sat in front of everyone and your competitors, but is there any insight you can give or are willing to give us?
Well, we've done quite a lot of swimming. It's been interesting. So again, in a 75-footer, how that scales up. No, like I said, it's a very cool concept. I think there's still an element of the unknown about it, but that's what will make this America's Cup that much more interesting.
So it's challenging.
No, it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. It's a big challenge technically, and for sailors, it's a big challenge as well, because you've got more interaction, you've got more sails going up and down, you've got a Code Zero or a Jenica. So there'll be 11 crew instead of 6, and so much more of a sailing test as well as a design test.
Thank you. Max, we saw, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, a new announcement for Luna Rossa that there's a new sponsor, Pirelli. Can you talk us through that and what it means?
Well, obviously, it's a big news for us. It's one of the most famous brand worldwide, and is Italian. So it's great to have another Italian brand on the boat. And I'm really proud, and we are really happy to have them on board. It's not just a simple sponsor, it's history which is coming on board, and I'm pretty sure there will be a long partnership, and especially there will be a technical partnership as well, which is going to help us.
So they're going to provide certain things, not just, you're not going to tell me, are you? You're looking at me to say, I'm not going to tell you.
We have a lot of cars, so we need tires, so...
Max, I'm going to stay with you,
just
because you gave me that answer. No, you have a very special relationship, Luna Rossa, with Emirates Team New Zealand. You wrote the protocol. Can you talk us through the common goals of that?
Well, one of the common goals was to create something new, like something never seen before, and I think we actually reached that goal pretty well. It was it was funny. Maybe another day we can show how many different type of boat we actually put on the table before come out with this final decision. And I think the common goal was to create something fast, pretty unique, and something which require a pretty high technology, design, research, and especially really good sailors. And I think and also something to move outside from the America's Cup. Historically, America's Cup has been something unique and really super high level. Like I give you an example, the soft wing is something can be used in the future even in commons boat or in cruising boat, and it's something I think is one of the messages we together with Team New Zealand we want to share and pull out of the America's Cup award. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be pretty exciting boat to sail with. I mean, I'm looking forward, to be honest.
Yeah, it seems so. Terry, we spoke about the history and we saw John F. Kennedy in the video. How can you make sure now, though, with this new generation, the new era, the technology, that America can outdo these guys?
How do we make sure?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I think. Well, first you'd have to, realistically set where you are, and I would say respectfully that, sitting here, these are three very well-established teams that had a lot of infrastructure in place. Ben touched on it in his video that the design component is very critical, and so a lot of our early team decisions were made to acknowledge where we're weak, which is in the time component, and make decisions that help circumvent time, that help accelerate the learning curve. So we went to a very familiar design firm that we've worked with at Boteam Partners and gave them the opportunity to assemble a team around them that will help accelerate our learning curve and help accelerate the time gap and help shrink that down. And from there, we focused on the boat building component because we know that to execute what Marcelino and Aldolfo and the guys want us to do, the builders are going to be working long hours, and that will be, that's the next phase of the program, that their ability to execute efficiently, their willingness to change, to be proactive of, whatever it takes is going to be massive to any team to being successful on the water.
A lot of ingredient, really.
Yeah.
A lot of ingredient,
Yes,
yeah.
very much so.
Peter, coming to you, you're going in very differently. You're the defenders. To me, that must bring so many different kind of components in. You've got the pressure, surely, but then it's incredible to have it in front of your home fans, the atmosphere. What's your thoughts on it? Does it make it different for you?
Yeah, well, I think the pressure's there, something that's always going to be there regardless of, whether you're a defender or a challenger, and I don't think anyone here would say anything different to that, but no, it's definitely going to be absolutely incredible having it in our home turf. In Auckland. It's a part of the world that I've spent a lot of time sailing in growing up, and it's pretty incredible to see, how many Kiwis are getting behind it, and how many people are going to travel down and watch the racing. So it's going to be a pretty incredible time down there, and the summer of 2021, when the competition's on, and we're really looking forward to it.
So are we. Ben, coming to you, there's been a lot of investment put into the British team, Ineos Team UK. But what can you learn from last year in Bermuda? What are the takeaways?
Well, gonna have a fast boat. Pretty helpful in this game.
That would help.
Yeah, we learned. We were a new organisation last time, and we learned a huge number of lessons. Some of them the hard way, and certainly a lot of evaluating on the back of that, and some tough decisions to make to get the team in the right structure, which we've done that, and we're in a good place. Like all of these teams, it's 4 teams, but they're incredibly talented organisations, whether that be in sailing or design or management. So I think we're in for a pretty impressive America's Cup in terms of the quality of the teams and the boats, and it'll be a great event.
What about you personally? What did you learn about yourself as a leader that you can bring into 2021?
Well, as I said, it was tough because we went in and we knew going into the competition we were a long way off the pace. I was really proud of the way the team reacted to that. You know, we clearly didn't win the cup, but we got ourselves to, you know, a respectable, competitive level. But for myself and the rest of the team, you know, we're here, we want to try and win. And so that was difficult leading a team, but also being in a very challenging, you know, competitive environment where we're on the back foot. And so I don't want to be in that position again, if I can help it.
Good. And Max, you spent 18 months with Emirates Team New Zealand, but obviously now you're back with Italy, leading Luna Rossa. Is there anything that you would take from Emirates Team New Zealand and inject it into your Italian team? Because they're known so much for their team psyche.
Well, that is hard to tell. I mean, you cannot replicate what's going to happen in New Zealand. I mean, there is a full nation and a full mentality behind the cup, which is something super hard to recreate. For sure, I mean, spending time with them, I learned quite a lot, the way they're thinking and the way they're operating. But again, I think everyone has his own way to work, and it's hard to move a mentality or a type of attitude or thinking to a different, completely different, a Latin, especially like Italian mentality. But we learned quite a lot. It's not only me. There is a large bunch of group of guys which was with me in Team New Zealand, which came back to Luna Rossa, and I think all of us came out with a big lesson. We came back with a cup, and I think that is the reason why we are all here today. But I think at the end it's a team environment. It's not a one-man show game. So we need to make sure we got the right people in the right position on all the level of the team. So it's not only me, but for sure I came out with some lesson.
Everybody talks about the team, and Ben, you said it in the video as well, that it's not just about the fast boat, which you just said, it's about the team as well. Max, is there anything that Grant Dalton, which I think he sat at the front, wishes you hadn't have seen?
we spend most of the...
Because now you've become rivals.
Well, we spend most of the time on motorbike. We never talk about work in reality. So I mean, the relationship is like no, I'm not saying that. Otherwise, they're gonna take us. No,
the relationship is like what?
I think we've been pretty honest, and I think again for sure in the last few months we had up and down together between the Luna Rossa and Team New Zealand, as is normal. We are all here to try to win the cup, and we need somehow to protect ourselves at some stage. But I think is a long-term history between the two teams, and the relationship and the loyalty between people, I think, is pretty high. So I respect that.
Terry, you've peppered the team with international talent. I know we talked about American talent as well. And I believe you've got Dean Barker, who was the skipper of Emirates Team New Zealand. What is he going to inject into the team?
He injects, the knowledge of the last two cycles. There's few people in the world that possess big boat monohull experience, and also have the experience of the 2013 and the 2017 program. And so very quickly, when I referenced the time thing, we had to have a sailing team that could, understand the challenges that we're going to face, understood the complexities of the last two cycles, and I can't think of another person more due to win the regatta than him, so it seems like a safe bet.
He does. Ben, can you talk us through the process of kind of what happens from now?
Well, we are expecting to be doing some regattas next year, and so when you go back, the time frame it takes to build these boats, the design decisions, certainly for hull shapes and things like that, are becoming quite time critical. And so that's really the big focus for the teams, and the designers are really earning their pay at the moment. I'm sure across all of the teams there's an element of stress involved there on that front, and that will be really interesting to see those new concepts coming out next year. And then each team are allowed to build two boats, two 75-footers. Quite when teams will put their second boat on the water, I guess that will be a sort of strategic decision. And then we get through racing 2020 and the Christmas race at the end of 2020 and going into the Cup early 2021. So it sounds like a long time away, 2021, but in reality, for all of the teams, going through designing, building 2 boats, getting out racing on a circuit. It's, already we're under pressure to make decisions and start building hardware.
Is there a specific time frame? Like is there a date or a time or a month when we'll actually see the full-size thing out on the water?
Well,
or does it depend across the teams?
There's a regatta schedule, Max, but when the regatta's next year, that's...
Max!
Max will tell us.
Max, you can tell us.
Well, the problem is we are racing against the clock, no? By watching that clock over there, it reminds me, Laurent Esquier put a countdown clock 20 plus years ago in one of the meeting room. And basically, that is the only thing you cannot buy, no? The time is, you can have as much money you want, but you cannot buy the time, unfortunately. I mean, sooner or later, we need to commit with the line of the boat, and once you committed with that, you almost locked at least your first design process. So, and as Ben says, there will be some events coming up at the end of the summer, European summer, next year, and so we need to be ready for that.
Okay, and Peter, finally, obviously you're from New Zealand. I've never been to New Zealand, but I'm looking forward to going, hopefully. What makes it so special? What can we expect that's so unique about New Zealand, that's, say, different from where we've seen it before, like Bermuda last year?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure quite why Kiwis like getting behind the cup quite as much as they do, but no, I think it's just something we've been involved in it for such a long time and had such incredible history in amongst it. And I definitely remember growing up, as a young New Zealander watching us compete in cup cycles like in 95 and 2000, where our previous 2 victories in the America's Cup, and just seeing how much the nation got behind it was pretty incredible. So, no, it's definitely going to be an incredible event down there, and we've got some incredible boats to sail, so we're just looking forward to getting on with the competition now.
All right, thank you so much, guys. I'll leave it there. Please give them a huge round of applause. Peter, Max, Terry, and of course, Ben. Thank you, gents. Thank you. You can... I know you want to stay, but, we're going to actually... They're going to come back on for photos shortly, if that's all right. Thank you. You've got to come back. Thanks. There will be photo opportunities, so don't worry. Thank you. We do have one more person, though, to introduce to stage. I've referenced him already. He sat in the kind of second front row. It is, of course, Emirates Team New Zealand boss, Grant Dalton. He wears 2 hats. He's got a high-pressure job, I'd say. He's the CEO of Emirates Team New Zealand, but he's also the CEO of the America's Event Company, Cup Company, right? So Grant, please come to stage. Give him a massive round of applause. Thanks, Grant. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you. So, Grant, I know you're here to kind of give us some special announcements, which we'll go through in just a moment's time. But of course, I was just asking Peter about New Zealand. What can we expect from 2021?
Well, I mean, it's a while since the Cup's been there. It left to that famous Swiss seafaring nation. And it would take a while to get it back. So that's sort of, because of the way we lost in San Francisco, it was so close, and then sort of in Valencia, it was almost the same in the last race, 1 second. And so it's really built up again. The public of New Zealand have a sort of a love-hate relationship with sporting teams. They really hate you when you lose, and they really love you when you win. And so winning the Cup, and there's some statistic, I think something like 82% of the viewing population, that's not by rating, that's by actual physical people that can watch TV, watch the last race of the America's Cup. There's 82% of all Kiwis. Okay, I know there's not that many, but it's still an awful lot of people for our little place. So the Cup is, I mean, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
That's that love-hate. I love that love-hate relationship. I'm a huge sports fan, where you really hate the team, but then they mean everything to you when they win. How much did it mean to you? I mean, you've just watched the whole show. Just looking back, are you still really excited about it?
Well, it was just relief. I mean, they say that winning is relief you didn't lose, and I think that's really true. I mean, it never really sinks in either, because you get back and it was all on, and it's been all on ever since. It's never slowed down. And it's actually watching videos like today, you know, that actually bring it back to you. And Bermuda seems like a lifetime ago now. So much has changed already and will continue to change. But I mean, you were asking the guys what the secrets were or whatever to what you do, and the simple answer is,
told me.
well, it's people. That's
Okay, people.
It's that simple. You get the right people, and you feed them with a lot of money, you win the America's Cup.
And there's a lot of passion and heart involved too.
Absolutely, but that comes from getting the right people.
But it is, we've talked so much about that team building thing as well though. But you're here to make some announcements, as I said. So how important is it to have the sponsors and the commercials? It's been as though you just mentioned money behind the America's Cup.
Well, I mean, we epitomise, I guess, as an organisation, sponsorship. I mean, I can go back to when I first started many, many years ago, when you didn't even have emails, and the letters used to just fall out of my mother's letterbox saying no, no, no. And it was those days that really taught me that when you can't pay your mortgage, or mother's mortgage, that sponsors are your lifeblood. And I've kept that lesson with me all these years. I hope I have, and I know the sponsors, some of our sponsors are in the room. I hope they, get the value that we promise, and more, in fact, because they're the lifeblood of our sport, and will continue to be so, as they are in so many sports. So, yeah, I mean, you're talking to the guy that understands sponsors in this sport, I can tell you.
And to never give up. Keep sending those letters until you get a yes. And I know you're going to announce a sponsor today, so I'll let you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's actually, so there's two parts to this, really. There's the event, and I'd just like to acknowledge Patricia Vitali, and who's here with us today, and he's with Marco Tronchetti. And really, so if you've got to look at the event in two parts. There's Prada is the overriding sponsor of the event, of the events and the cup itself, the America's Cup presented by Prada, as we see as the logo up here today. So they're the kind of anchor sponsor of everything. And then behind that, you have a number of partners that are coming on. And there are a few that have already come on, but we're announcing today that Yanmar has come in, and I acknowledge in the room through the lights, Miss Kubota. There we go, over there. Who's
Let's give her a round of
for
applause.
Yeah. And really, from Yanmar, my only association to date is chasing Yanmar motors behind Oracle around San Francisco Bay for about 3 or 4 weeks, which I didn't enjoy much because they were always in front of us. So we're so pleased at this time that Yanmar is going to be part of the event. And they're the first sponsor of the event that we're announcing, and we're doing that today.
And
So
it's
thank
great
you.
to have that international field all
Absolutely.
the way from Japan.
Absolutely.
And so we've announced Yanmar, so we'd like to welcome Yanmar on board, as you can see there, from Japan. You're also going to announce the course. I'm really intrigued about this and the course configuration.
Well, I am actually, but what are we going to do this? We're going to play a video first, or are we going to? We'll
in
do
the
that first.
hologram
Okay.
box. I mean, it's great to see because, I mean, it looks beautiful more than anything, but we could see the course there. So will you talk us through, because there was the A, B, C, D, and E, so that was 5.
Yeah, so firstly, it's the centre of the universe. That's the best part about it. And when the Cup was in New Zealand in 2000, as I said before, it left to that famous seafaring nation of Switzerland in 2003. It was a long way out. And so realistically, unless you're watching it on TV or on a boat, you couldn't see it. I mean, you get your binos at Browns Bay and look out, but there were just dots. And so we thought, in conjunction with the Challenge of Record, that we wanted to bring it. These boats will be very manoeuvrable. They're super quick. And there's guys in the room I know that would attest to me saying that they will be quicker than the AC50.
Right.
In certain conditions. It's significantly quicker, actually. So sailing them in a confined area has got its own challenges, but the thing is that there are so many spectator boats that you can't stray outside the boundaries of the course anyway, because you're going to end up in someone's saloon in their Beneteau 50, So not a good idea. So where you put it doesn't really matter in terms of its restriction, in terms of, because you can't go outside those boundaries. And we wanted it to be visible. I mean, it's a big TV event, okay. But that doesn't change where you can have it anywhere for that. But you want to get the public who can't get on a boat. We don't want the sport to be seen as, unless you've got a boat, you can't go out to watch it. We want it to be able to be viewed from the shore. And in that natural amphitheatre, that's actually Auckland Harbour, one of those courses. So those of you who know Auckland Harbour, you can see it from a lot of places. There's a thing called North Head, where you can shoot right down onto the boats. Bastion Point, you could probably get, I would suggest, on the shore, 300,000 people to watch a race.
Because we saw those high points, actually.
Yeah, well, the high points are all accessible.
Yeah.
But you can line all those beaches, and then, so if we're not using that course because of the wind direction, we take it out a bit further. There's other beach vantage points. And that was really important to both ourselves and the Challenge of Record to create that environment. So it's going to be amazing. The other thing is actually, which is kind of a real break from tradition, is races tend to sort of start 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon normally. But again, those who know Auckland, we're a narrow island, and in the summer, you get 2 opposing sea breezes, one that comes from the north and one which comes from the west. And it has to cross the ranges to make it into the harbour. It's normally the predominant wind. And you end up with a dead zone. And anyone that's raced in Auckland will have spent a lot of time getting eaten by sandflies on the wind change, waiting for the wind to come. So we're moving it to later in the day.
I wondered why.
Yeah, that's...
Because it's going to be 4 p.m.
Yeah, we're going to run 4. So we want to run for like a 30-minute race with, say, a 3 or 4 minute pre-start. So 35 minutes, let's call it. And we want to be in and out in 2 hours from a TV point of view. And I go to bed early, so I need to get home. So, and the 6 o'clock news.
I thought it was because you wanted to lie in. That's why
no,
it
the
was
6
later.
o'clock news, you can't interrupt that in TV1. So that's why we're running it later in the afternoon, to get establishment of the sea breeze. And actually, when you look at the time zones, it works quite nice. I mean, it's the middle of the night, right? But it
works nicely.
It works better if you're an early riser to watch it, with the winter-summer sort of thing. So that's why we're running it a little later in the day, to let the breeze more established.
Okay. Do you want to officially announce the date and the time then?
Yes.
I'll let you say.
So the Cup will be the 6th of March 2021 till the 21st of March. Now, where those dates sort of sit, is they straddle 2 weekends, 1st to 7, so Saturday, Sunday, then a Wednesday, and then a Saturday, Sunday, and if it needs to continue, then it will continue on from that point till, and we think that's enough time to get it done, any makeups. But again, hit those weekends that are, well, there's so, Kiwis are going to be there. As I tell you, it will be massive in New Zealand. It is just, we were the clickbait. This is words that were only invented that, that I don't even really understand yet. But we were the highest clicked, the Emirates Team New Zealand was the highest clicked words in New Zealand for the last 2 years. Besides,
wow.
All Blacks, anyway. So it's
That's incredible.
the team gets, it's amazing, really.
Wow. I can't wait. How many, I think you said, did you say how many people you'd expect? Like how?
Well, I mean,
you said how many people you can get round.
No, I don't know. That would be just a guess.
Like tens of thousands.
Yeah, no, it's way over tens of thousands. It's hundreds of thousands. Absolutely. You won't. You're thinking of coming to Auckland. You want to book your hotel now.
So you want to get a place now,
You get
basically.
it, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It'll be on. I mean, the New Zealand government has invested heavily in the new infrastructure. They're spending around in Kiwi dollars about $250 million. We're expanding, if you like, the bottom of town to house the expansion that we need for the teams and ourselves. With our new base that we're about to take over. So it's happening now. I mean, we kind of think today's the kind of launching, and it's the right place to launch it. I remember doing, when I was a 12-year-old, a speech on the America's Cup for my end-of-year speech in year whatever it was, and I talked about the America's Cup. I could recite it almost to this day when you were talking about Prince Albert and the World Trade Fair and Queen Victoria. So,
and now you are here
you are
today.
Yeah, and actually going to the Royal Squadron tonight, which is interesting because when I was last here when I was 24, they threw me out. So I find that slightly ironic.
Have you changed? Have you matured?
You'll have to ask the guys. It was interesting. You had all these guys sitting here, and they've all worked for Team New Zealand in their lives. So I thought that was interesting, all the guys sitting here.
Very interesting point. So we can see the date, well, it was there. It was the 6th of March at 4 p.m., which is 917 days. That seems quite a long time, but on the stage, and I remember Ben talking about how it kind of all starts now and there isn't much time.
No.
Is that a short period or a long period to go?
Well, everything takes the amount of time that you give it, right? That's sort of how life works. But it isn't very long, but everybody says that. But one thing is true, and I think it might have been Max that said it, you can't buy time. So you have to get up and running. If you're not running now, you've got to get up running soon, or you just will run out of time. And I think one of the significant things about the quality of the teams we've got at the moment is they're all winning teams. They can all win this thing. And they've got money and they've got time, or they've given themselves time. So, in no way, as the defender and trying to organise a great America's Cup in conjunction with Mr. Patelli, do we underestimate the challenge. I mean, we have a great event and we lose the cup. That's it's one of those sort of medical ones where the operation's a success and the patient dies. So, watching your mother-in-law go off the cliff in your car, you don't know how to feel. So we got to focus on the team itself. Is
that the analogy? I'll remember that one. Talking of challenges, is there any room for anybody else?
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked me that, because that's sort of one of the things that we keep. Well, you got 3 challenges, 3 very good challenges, I would have to say. But there's 4. I thought about, because I knew you were going to ask me that, so I thought about what I'd say about that. Because you don't want to create false expectation, but you don't want to oversell it. But there's 4 teams that right now could make it, and they ain't sitting in this room.
Okay.
And they're real. Because every now and again you get an email, "Hi, I thought I might just do the America's Cup. Where do I sign?"
I was thinking of getting a team together myself.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Well, you might be able to. So there's 4 teams that could, and I look at it and go, well, why aren't they here yet? And maybe we just didn't give them enough time when we shut down on that first stage of the entries, and we have to. I think as a responsibility of the Challenger of Record and as the defender, it is our responsibility to now work with those teams to try and make it easy for them to make it. Because they've got big barriers in terms of finding the right people, getting going, and having successful challenges if they start.
Okay, so that's interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that. I won't ask you who they are, but we'll keep an eye on that, because there might be 4 more teams, or at least a couple.
Yeah, you got 4, you might get 2.
Yeah.
You might get 4, but you might get none. It's just one of those sort of environments.
Okay.
But they're very active at the moment.
Look out for.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Grant. I could chat to you all day. Give Grant a massive round of applause.